Oh, yeah. Hello, hello, hello. It's 4:20. Let's get high. I'm really, well, what should I say? I don't know. Oh, that's good. I've been working a lot, getting ready for my publication tomorrow. And I've been having to be like working on my website, which is sort of trying for me. And nonetheless, I wanted to set aside, figured a half hour a day where I can be open to take people's questions or questions that they want to ask. Like someone asked me actually recently, I don't know if you're listening, but he asked me if I could explain what Kabbalah was in slang Indian, from like India, which I can't do. I couldn't even do it in Hebrew, but just because I have to say something, I'll say that the Kabbalah, it means receive. And it's the most feminine and the most hidden and the most mystical of all the Jewish secrets. There you go. And let's say someone, I don't know. I'm just, I know sometimes people listen to this afterwards, but I'm wondering if my friend Elise is there. Doesn't seem like it. So who is there? Write me a little note here so at least I can be talking to someone. Otherwise, maybe I just got more to smoke. I'm not sure. Oh, oh, you are here. I didn't know because it just said that there's one person watching. But you always put a like there, so I didn't know who it was. So I'm glad that I'm talking to you. And I want to tell you something about the book coming out tomorrow. That in the first day of publication, it seems as though I'm not really seems so much in the loop, but I don't really want to be. But the first place it will be available will be on Amazon, and you won't you won't be able to go just into any bookstore and order it. There'll be certain bookstores like Barnes and Noble. I don't know if that's in Canada. I'm gonna get a list of them that actually have it in their catalog, so you could actually go in and order from them. Other bookstores, you'd actually have to go in and ask them, to actually stock the book. It means they have to actually, get the book and stock it, and see if it, um, you know, if it sells. And so, anyways, this is supposed to happen tomorrow. I've been working all day, like on the internet, and trying to figure shit out, on the website, and I don't know. It's frustrating. I've been doing it for the last 2 days, man, trying to get everything right. Everyone's trying to get everything right. Little things I forget. And, she knows this date is very important to me. I want to establish this as the date that the book has been published on, because in Hebrew this is the ninth of Elul, and Elul is the 6th month of the year, beginning from Passover. That's when the Jewish year begins, but it's actually the last year, the last month, really, before we go into Rosh Hashanah and begin another year. Let me see who this is. Um, and anyways, so I'm really into kind of synchronous and numbers and stuff, and so one of the people that I read, not all the stuff I read is ancient. A lot of it's just like a few hundred years old. And one of the people who really opened the door for me into the Zohar, his name is Rev Tzadok HaKohen, and he passed away at the age of 77 in 1900. See, and on the 9th of tomorrow. And I was born on that day, 44 years later. And in the year that I was born, on the day and year that I was born, his great works Pri Tzaddik was published. And now then tomorrow, I will be, actually tonight when the sun goes down, I will turn 77, God willing. And I will publish my book about the Zohar, which is a very unique, I think very important book. And since I have this kind of connection with him, that I just felt it's really cool. And between like his 77 years and 44 years and my 77 years, if I'm right about this, maybe I'm not right. I was gonna say, so it must be from the time he passed away. Yes, until the time he passed away until now is 120 years. Now, 120 years in Torah is considered a lifetime. So, who knows? Maybe all this stuff means something. I think the main thing is try to, um, uh, try to fit it in, try to I'm not saying fit it in, try to to be in sync with something that's bigger than ourselves, and therefore you kind of ride on that wave. That's what I think. So there. And so there, I talked about something. I'm not sure what else to talk about. So I see there's another person here. So again, I'm doing this because I am a Jewish mystic and I want to answer people's questions. And you always get a chance, and just live, just ask me the question, or you can do it not live, but this is kind of your opportunity to get right to the point. Because a lot of times, people have questions. It's interesting. Someone contacted me that I knew decades ago, and maybe 30 years ago in Israel, when I taught a little class there, and she had wandered into the class and stayed. And she wrote to me after all these years, wondered what had happened to me, where I was. And she found me. She wrote me a letter, and she had like very and had like very interesting, just very nice things to say about me. She remembered me as being someone who loved the Torah, and I thought that was really nice. And that she would remember me, so that she would actually try and get in contact with me. And it's funny, I didn't remember her at first, but when she wrote to me, her voice was very much in her words. And I did remember her because she had asked me a question that I couldn't really answer. It was why in one of the texts we were learning that the Rebbe who wrote it 100 years before repeated something over and over. And somehow I always remember that question, and it came to actually affect me in a certain way in my writing. All right, but I see we have a question here. Thank you very much for your question. And the question is, what do I think about what's going on in Afghanistan? This is what I think, that there is a long road which is short, and there is a short road which is long. The short road which is long is when you go into a country where you don't belong, just someone there pissed you off, did something to you, and you're going to destroy the whole country, take it over, and try to remake the people. So it's a short road. You got all the armaments, you go in there, just like we did to Iraq. We didn't do anywhere where we went any good. We went in, we held them up for a while, we gave them a lot of money, and then we turn around and leave. And this is a short road which is long. As we see, it just goes on and on and on. People die, and there's no resolution, and finally we walk out. And what happens after we walk out? People tend to resolve these things. Even 20 years ago, when we saw how brutal the Taliban was, and the horrible things they did to women, and we saw the same thing in Iran when the Ayatollah first went there. But people tend to soften. It's just how these things are. People start out like really, and they soften. And even for these poor girls and young women who are taken by soldiers, that women are so full of love, they will soften these soldiers. And all the women who learned, to read and higher values and stuff like that, they will educate their men. And that's the long road that's short. It's a long road to let this happen naturally, but it's a short road because it happens naturally. And we're so afraid that we're going to lose some sort of political advantage because the Taliban, they're connected with Russia. They have good relations with Russia, with China, and which is very good because they're in the region. And everyone in the region has to sort of figure out how they're going to do this. Plus the fact that they are Muslim and they are making a state which is a Muslim state. And the other Muslim countries in the world will be putting pressure upon them not to do things that bring shame upon the Quran. So, and I think their big test is right now, the world is looking at them and to see if they have changed. And, they've had 20 years not to just build an army and have they knew exactly what they were going to do and how fast they could take it. And there was no question they could do it because why should, the thing that really bothers me, the thing that really bothers me is our government expected these people to fight for 90 days so we could evacuate everyone. In 90 days, who knows how many tens of thousands of people would have died. So we can have time to get out. They knew, all in all that they knew they were going to lose the country. There was really no question about that they were going to lose the country. But America is upset. They poured so much money into this country. And look what they got out of it. They just got a few days out of it. And the whole thing is just stupid and it's wrong. I'll tell you why. Because actually, I forgot what I was going to say. You may get too wound up in this stuff. But I mean, the whole thing was wrong from the beginning. If we had just let the Taliban take Afghanistan. Oh man, there it is. If we had just let, if 20 years ago we had said, all right, you're the ones in charge, and if we had worked not just diplomatically, but tried to be friends with them, that's what the world is missing. We're not cooperating with each other. We all are trying to see who can be the strongest. And America is the one that's leading this because they want to remain a superpower. And they think that America should be competing with, America's 300 million people. We should be competing with the 1.5 billion people of China, who for thousands of years have perfected the ability to work together and get shit done. That's absurd. And who are we doing it for? So the rich people can go, ejaculate into outer space? No, thanks. And it's not good for the world, this whole capitalism of pushing more on people, because that's the only way they can make money. The whole thing sucks. And we should leave these areas in the world alone. And we shouldn't have gone into the Middle East. The whole World War I was so that we could establish, Rome could establish their dominance in the Middle East, which they did, and really to today, the way they cut everything up and made, and they just play with everyone's lives because Rome wants to conquer the world. But, it's the end. We're really at the end of this stuff, and I've talked about it so much, about the 777 and Trump and the whole bullshit, and it's just this is the sign of the end of Rome, and the world is not going to change a lot, between now and 220 years, when we go into the 1,000 years of woman and 1,000 years of peace, and there will be so much light that we will no longer have freedom of choice. And we'll see what's right, and we'll just, there won't be the ability to do wrong. But now is the opportunity, and it's like, like this is the deepest and darkest that we've ever been as a human being. And it's just, so many signs of how we're polluting everything and how we, our whole understanding of what everything is. I mean, it's just really so ignorant, and it is so deep and ignorant. And in this time of great ignorance and darkness is when we can see the light. And this light is called Zohar, and it's from the other side of the black hole. And things are not going to change in the world very much. The countries are who they are. Everyone's having difficulties. The planet is having difficulties. And we're all going to have to learn the one basic thing that can save us all, which is cooperation. And with cooperation comes this kind of mutual love. Because, money is not going to be able to buy you nothing. Because, these storms are coming. And there's going to be so many people who are disenfranchised from the system because they lost everything. And we're just going to have to provide for everyone and forget about the money and use the structures that we have and refit them so everyone can live and not have to pay a rent. And that will give everyone the time to be able to do what they need to do in society, not running after money, but in helping society. I mean, there are people, and I'm frankly one of them, who would be happy just to sweep the sidewalk. You give me a broom, I'd be happy to do it. I'm a Virgo, and I've been to Germany and see how clean they keep their sidewalks, and I think it's terrible in America how dirty everything is. I bet you there's lots of people who, if you gave them a room a roof over their head, a decent way to live, a tiny house, whatever the thing is, they'd be happy to go out and help society. And I think that we need to recognize that our society has certain things that we all like need, essential. And with those are essential workers. And our essential workers should have the greatest stability of anyone's society. They should be assured to have the nicest housing, whatever they need for their kids, for whatever, because these are people who serve the public and give us stability, so we should give them stability, and the rest of us, we can find, where to live. And those are the people really that we should be giving our thanks to and respect to, whether they're picking up our garbage or doing heart surgery. These are people that are essential to be able to live a nice life in America, and we should honor them all. And running after money, we've seen, all it does is make more money, and then you have to run faster. And so the whole thing is absurd, and this is a time and a way to actually really be able to sort of change direction of our world, which is what the prophecies predict is in these times, which are the end of days. I mean, the 6,000 calendar is almost over, 220 years. In these days, that many prophetic things will happen. And one of the things will happen is that the whole world will wake up at the same moment. And now we see that can happen because we're all tied together. Something happens to Afghanistan, we all see it. And that's the beauty of the kind of pressure that we're putting on, like really everyone, all the politicians, all even the real, the bad people, that we're watching them. And people, they change. I mean, even North Korea has become less belligerent. And I think personally, I think we should reward them and help them so that people don't have to starve there. That's a terrible thing to do, to make people starve. So I see we got a third person on here. Hello and welcome. Third person. I'm Dovid. Oh, person just left. All right. No, the person's back again. So if you want to ask a question, I'm a Jewish mystic, and now is the time you can ask a question, and I'll do my best to answer it. No question. Looks like he left. But that's a good kind of thing that I can do. I think I need to be, addressing people more. And because we all have questions, and generally ask these hard questions, and people throw up their hand. Nobody knows, and it's not true. I'll tell you, the Jews, we know really a lot. We got like 3,500 years of continuous study. And it's been written down and explained and gone over. And we have a very consistent way of looking at creation. Well, that's nice of you, Carol. Anyways, I'm trying to get like new people to ask questions. Questions, as a teacher, that if nobody asks a question, a lot of times I just talk and talk. I want to get all this information out. But the real teaching happens when people ask questions. And that's really the fun of teaching, you know. And it's sort of like, I read tarot cards, and same sort of thing in tarot cards. It's not like someone can give you something, you can sit down and ponder it and, write an answer, but rather that at the moment, you got to be there, with with an answer. You have to be able to see it, and you have to be able to discuss it. And that's why I like that, that's exciting, can you do it? See, when I was a kid, little kid, and TV had just been like invented, it was like the early 50s. And as was one of those kids sitting there looking, I always got up early and I sitting there looking at this thing on the TV, this emblem, until the cartoons came on. And they had, obviously they had things for children. And the one I remember that was Captain Treasure. See, and Captain Treasure had a special guest. He had these different guests at different things. We had this one guest, and he was an artist, and he was asked children to come up and make a mark on the, on the canvas on the paper, and and he'd ask him, "No, what is that mark?" And the kid would say, "It's a camel." And then he would go and make a camel out of that mark. Maybe it'd be the ear or the tail or, who knows what. And it was just very cool the way he could do that. And I think that also I like that idea. And also, in writing, most stories, germinate from something that happened, something that the writer experienced in their life. And you don't have to stay true to what happened, but it was just the experience. That experience can take on many different forms, have many different ways of expression. And that's called creativity. So there's number 3. Hello, number 3. If you have a question, I'm a Jewish mystic. Now is the time to ask it. So anyway, so because it's like every false thing. And in a sense, imagination is false, but it has to have a kernel of truth. Every false thing needs a kernel of truth. And sometimes when you have like false, you know, um, books and stuff like that. And the only way they can get to people is there has to be a kernel of truth in there. But it's not just the kernel of truth. There's this kernel of thing, like this epicenter that kind of holds everything together. And that has to be true. Oh, hello. All right. Do you have any insights on when we'll be free from, coronavirus? Yes. So the coronavirus came. Remember that COVID, see, in Hebrew means respect. And we have not respected the earth, and we were pushing it too fast, and we were spinning it too fast, and it was about to go out of control, where the people would have lost everything, and the rich people would have swallowed it all up. They're still trying to do that. And God sent us COVID as a blessing. And it's this way, because it started in China, and one within, it would go from China to California. There's all this trade going back and forth, or to Washington or Oregon, but it didn't. It went the other way around. Why did it go the other way around? I think in order to, as a sign from God, that this is directed at America, because America is the one shoveling the coal into the engine to go faster and faster, for people to consume more and more, and just addicting people to this frantic way of life where only a few will survive. And I think the simple answer is that about COVID is, as we moderate our way of living, as we begin to love one another, and putting on a mask and taking a vaccination is a way of showing love. And why? Because the mask really helps other people. It doesn't help so much the person wearing the mask, because you can take in germs, but it helps to protect other people from you. Maybe you pick something up, you don't know, you don't want to be. So it's actually, an act of love, because you're doing it for someone else. And so we need to moderate our pace of life, what it is. We need to really think about what's really important to us. And COVID is giving us the opportunity. And there will be one variant after another until we stop trying to reinvent what we had, because we will never have that again. We will never do that again. Both the people and God are not going to let us do that. We have a very short time left, 220 years before we enter into 1,000 years of woman and of peace. And this is the time we have to rectify the world by putting woman above man, man putting woman above himself, and doing the agenda of woman, because the agenda of man sucks, and we don't need any more of anything. We need to take care of our children. We need to protect our women, and we need to protect the environment. And if we slow everything down, then the nature will begin to rectify herself in a calm way. But until then, there are going to be storms and flames, and because pushing people from one place to another until we learn the lesson of to love your friend as you love yourself. And this, it says, Klau Gadol b'Torah. This is the main aspect of Torah, as written right in the Torah 3,500 years ago, and because this world was made to love each other, to love the earth, not to fight, not to make war, to leave other people in the world alone, and to be a beautiful nation that is an example to all other nations, because we are a nation of immigrants made from every different peoples in the world, and and living together in peace. And we should do it in a beautiful way that exemplifies the ahavta l'recha kamoka, to love each other like we love ourselves, to be an example to the rest of the world who have their own cultural things, and to help them to live together, loving one another. So this is what we're supposed to do. And we're not supposed to go around the world, trying to tell everybody what to do. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Thank you for listening to me. And I'm going to just try to do this, during the week, get high with you all. I hope more people come and ask questions, and we can just hang out and, get high together. All right. Be sure to go to my website, dovidhouse.com. Bye.